Welcome, 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 everyone. Welcome to the It's Not You pod, the place where your symptoms finally make sense. I'm Jackie, your perimenopause fat loss coach. I spent 15 years coaching figure skating before my own hormonal shift rewrote everything I knew about my body. Now I help women, like all of us, burn fat, fix the fatigue, drop the bloat, and stop buying the bullshit that it's just your age. Because come on, guys, come on. We don't have to, doesn't have to be like this. So if your body's been acting different, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. And super quick, I just hope you guys have had a really awesome start to your week. I love to do these on Monday at noon because it's like the kickoff. I love it. Hydrating, stay anywhere fit. It's getting cold out there, huh? Turtleneck on today. My gosh. Yeah, it is getting cold, sister. So we are T-minus 10 days from Christmas. Oh my God. How crazy is that? I've said this before and I'll say it again. September was like 3 minutes long September was 3 years long and November, December have been 3 minutes long. So I'm just trying to catch up, So today we're going to talk about the identity shift that happens when you make changes to your health and fitness. Because a lot of people feel like it's motivation or they fall back into the excuse like I'm too busy or this is who I am, this is what I do. And, yes, that's what you've been doing. That is who you have been being. But there's an identity in that. And we have to acknowledge the fact that sometimes we get really caught up in habits, and those habits become our identity. We go sort of a bridge too far with habits. It's one thing that, this is what I do every year. Like I bake Christmas cookies every year, for example, with my family. I have a good friend of mine, her whole family gets together. Excuse me. And that's like a fun tradition, right? This is what I do. And actually, it's so funny that Christmas cookies came up because I totally wasn't trying to. That wasn't because I was calling one of my clients out. Sorry, Maddie. I'm not calling you out here. Specifically, I was just using that as because Maddie loves to make Christmas cookies and she's the head elf. Love that. In case anybody didn't know, you know now, Maddie's the head elf, so nobody else can contend for that position. But back to Christmas cookies, my girlfriend's family, they all get together and that's something they do every year. However, if somebody can't make it that year because they have to otherwise do something, they're not going to be, oh my God, this is the thing I do. It's not the absolute identity of who they are. Because sometimes you can't do, or you have to change. It's not that you can't do it. It's like you have to change course a little bit from year to year, right? But someone who says, I can't change course, I will be every year at Christmas cookie baking, and that is it. And that is what they do, and everything else falls to the wayside. There's just no flexibility in that. So that was kind of my point I was trying to get to. So we have to think about this identity shift that we're really avoiding, and why identity is really the sticking point. It's not habits, it's not motivation. You're bottlenecking in this identity. Okay. So if you've ever wondered, why do I know what to do, but I can't seem to do it? Whether it's consistently taking the next step, in your health and fitness journey, increasing calories to fuel increased energy output or otherwise, because maybe that number is big to you. This episode is for you. This is the one for you. So definitely listen up to this one, because this is like one of the most frustrating places women get stuck, and we name it all the other things. Okay. You know the habits, the basics, the information, you've done the programs, you've followed the plans, you understand the steps, but something's keeping you here. Something is keeping you from progressing, even though you know what to do to change it and you want to. You might even be doing this stuff, right? And that isn't motivation. Okay. It's not discipline. It isn't a lack of effort. It isn't a lack of willpower. It's this identity that you're associating with where you are. All right. Think of your identity as the operating system that runs your habits. Okay. And your habits can't grow out of that identity that they come from. Okay. So if your identity, for example, still sees you as the woman who always starts over, the woman who never finishes, the woman who has to earn rest, the woman who should be smaller, the woman who can't trust her body, the woman who overfunctions for everyone else. You're stretching yourself so thin and you're overfunctioning for everybody else. The woman who puts herself last. Ladies, we all do it. We all do it. And it's caretakers. It's not necessarily the moms. I love my moms out there. Love you ladies who are moms, but you're not the only ones who put yourselves last. Absolutely. Moms are definitely putting themselves last on a regular basis, but caretakers, there's aunties, there's plenty of women I know who actually don't have kids and they stretch themselves thin for the rest of their family. For a long time, I actually, the last 6 months, my grandmother was alive. I helped care for her, but I also was working and commuting 3 hours a day to New York City in addition to helping care for her. And then on the weekends, that is, what I was tasked with. I was doing that. I was pitching in, but I would be remiss to say it was a lot. It was a lot, but you know what? I was going to do it. That's my grandmother, and I love her with all my heart and all my soul. So there wasn't any way I wouldn't do that, but absolutely putting myself last. And I just want to make sure that all the ladies hear this, because yes, definitely moms do it. But also if you're caretaking, we have the sandwich generation. If you are your career, and I went through this too, because my career was my child. Okay. And that in itself, and if your career is your other child and you have a child at home and you have a child at work because that's your career is your child, you're stretching yourself very thin. You are all of this. Okay. So this is for all of us ladies going through this. The woman who only thrives in chaos. If you say, oh my God, I'm not going to get moving until this gets nuts, hold the phone. The woman who says she doesn't deserve support. You may not say that out loud, but you're saying that internally. Okay. Your habits will always, if that's where you are at, your habits are always going to snap back to that identity. No matter how badly you want to change, no matter how hard you work to change it, you're always going to snap back. Okay. Behavior follows belief. That is the truth. And belief comes from identity. Chicken and the egg. So if the woman in your mind has not upgraded, the woman in your habits can't do that either. So you're going to keep yourself stuck. Okay, so where can that shift begin, right? So think about this. You are not the woman you were 5 years ago. You are not the woman you were last year. You're not even the woman you were last month. You've lived more. You've carried more. You've endured more. And you've learned more. You've outgrown the old version of yourself, but you're still operating like the old version is in charge. That's why you keep reverting back. The new era of your life needs a new identity. She requires this. And this is part of the change that we make. The woman who prioritizes herself, the woman who leads with clarity, whether you're leading your family, your department, your direct report, you are leading a Girl Scout troop, a Boy Scout. They're not called troops. Boy Scout, I forget what they're called. But whomever you're leading, it could be a church group. It could be a cookie exchange, okay? The woman who leads with clarity is going to have a different identity. The woman who honors her body, the woman who supports her biology. That's a big one. The woman who moves from alignment, not pressure. Okay, you're not trying to control everything and pressure yourself into, I gotta. You know, I'm going to ignore my hunger today. I know I'm hungry, but I ate too much. You're restricting. You're putting pressure on yourself. You're not aligning with what is going on in your body. You're pressuring yourself to fit some kind of a mold, and that is the identity. The woman who trusts her own signals. Your body gives you signals every day. That's how we were designed. The woman who takes up space and doesn't apologize for it. I did that for a long time. Yeah, taking up space was being okay with that, not becoming wallpaper. Big mindset adjustment right here. The woman who doesn't shrink, but rises. Okay, that's all of this is in that. So the thing is, you're not avoiding habits. You're avoiding the identity that comes with that change because you're doing all the things. You're following the plan. You're doing the program. You're having the extra, whatever it is you have to have that day to make sure that you're eating enough and you're doing this. But then there's something in you that gives you this invisible ceiling. Okay. You're avoiding the identity that comes with the change because you're doing the actions and then you're like, oh shit, because that old identity is like, shit, I'm not comfortable there. Because that identity demands that you show up differently, that new identity. And it's different, different is uncomfortable, even when it's right. But she's already inside of you. You're just not letting her lead yet. All right. So this week, I just want everyone sort of ask themselves, what part of your identity is overdue for an update? And how is that old version of you still running your habits? Let that guide what your 1% shift looks like this week. Where are you going to shift that 1%? And feel free to share with us in the comments. And if you're a client, bring this to your check-in this week. I want to see where this identity shift is showing up for you personally. Okay. And if you're listening in at home, your next step is simple. Get your wellness IQ, okay, by commenting or DMing me IQ, and I'll send you my quiz so you can finally understand what your body is trying to tell you. All right. Really appreciate you guys joining me today. Love it, love it, love it. And remember, I'm here every Monday at noon Eastern.